Why do beekeepers have a smoker? Because when you go near bees, like beehive, the bees will start to, guard bees, there are bees that are called designated guard bees, and they'll release a chemical that smells like banana oil. I echo. It smells like banana oil. And do we have a hive tool?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Did we
I
bring
just
it?
a nail to poke through. We're making challenge, and I gotta go get you a tack.
Okay. 2 tacks, maybe. Okay. Okay, why don't you spray them? Okay, so technically called a pheromone. And okay, get the other side. And the pheromone smells like banana oil to us, but when the guard bees release the alarm motor, it alerts the other bees that, in their language, that an intruder is near the hive, and more bees will come out to sting, or at least buzz around you. Although we unlikely will need this today, we want to show you, because last year I was appalled how people didn't know how to light a smoker. Maybe they never lit fires as kids. But anyway, so the way you light a smoker is, newspaper works better. You're right, it went out. That's why newspaper works better. But it was lit. Okay, so you drop something that's lit, and then you put some straw in, and don't get burned, and you make sure it's lit, and you put more, like so. Coming out the green grass, and go to a hive. You puff a little smoke in the entrance. When you take the lid off, you puff a little smoke. And on nice days, that's about all you need. And you never wear a watch when you're working bees, because somehow the sweat or whatever that gets into the leather strap becomes like an alarm motor, and they'll sting it. And you should wear light clothing when you work bees. Okay, you want to, I guess? And what they do in Georgia is they go to a beehive, and they have a funnel, and they take frames. The queen is isolated. So they take frames and shake them in the funnel into the package. The funnel goes over the hole in the package, which you'll see in a minute. Oh, we have the water to keep them fed in transit. And then they go to a nucleus yard where they're raising new queens, because if they shook the queen in the hive they shook the bees out of into the package, then they can only make one package. So they want that queen to keep producing more bees. So they go to a mating yard, and so the queen that's here is foreign to these bees initially. And so she's in a cage and in transit, and by the time they get here, although we're going to still treat her as a foreign queen, they will slowly adopt her as their own. You can puff a little. Sometimes these things go out. Maybe we didn't light it enough. Hold on.
When the instructor says run, everybody listen.
No. No, there's 2 types of queen cages, and this is a fairly new one that was made by a guy from the Drummond Aircraft Company. It's a plastic queen cage. I prefer the other type, but it is what it is. Anyway, since you want her to slowly be accepted, there's a sugar plug. This long neck is a plug of sugar, and then, well, by the time they eat through the plug, they've accepted her. usually. And we want to make sure sometimes the plug is too hard and they can't chew through it. So without skewering the queen, you want to take some of this out. This is kind of, well, maybe it's, what do you got? What's the other thing you have?
I got a nail and I got a brad here if I can find it.
Let me try your nail. Is with that it seems. So I'm taking some of it out, and then I'm going to make a hole through it very carefully. They're all, oh, another pheromone, they're all scenting. See their abdomens up in the air and their wings fanning? You come close for a minute. And also I have to make sure the queen is alive. Yes.
So they can scent the queen in there?
Yes, because she produces pheromones too.
Okay.
Yeah, ask questions as we go along.
So it's just the queen in that plastic container?
Yeah. Okay.
And she was raised separately on a
Yes,
queen farm of some sort?
Well, they call them, no, this is probably the same company that made the packages have their own queen raising areas. So what they do is they go to a hive that they like the queen, and if the queen is, if the larva, all females eggs and larvae will become either a queen or a female worker bee. And the only difference is the diet. So during the diet of the queen, it's fed royal jelly all its larval life. The worker females, after the third day, they are no longer provided with royal jelly. They're provided with dilute honey and pollen. So in bees, to be trite, you are what you eat.
And what is royal jelly and where does that come from?
From the glands in the worker bee's head. And that makes, and the queen bee, egg to adult, 16 days. The drone, the male bee, 24 days, and the worker 21 days. The male bee can't sting, only the females can sting. The males are big. Here's a big fat male, a drone, and watch this, a little exhibit.
Oh my God.
They'll fly away. Just shows you, don't try that at home. Now we're going to suspend this cage in here because we're not going to release her directly. We're going to let them release her as they eat through the candy. Okay. I think he did it through the wax.
Yes, through the wax.
He did. Okay, here. Just first put it through the plastic. You want to push it through.
When you did it through the frame, remember it wouldn't slide in.
Okay. Oh no, I know that. Okay, it must be through. Okay, now, yeah, we couldn't get the frames close together. Suspended on the frame. And they're going to eat through the plug and release her. And over that delayed period, they will become relatively well acquainted with her. Okay, I want to bring that package over here, please.
So right now there's no queen established.
No.
She's in the plug.
Right,
If
she's
they
in the
let
plug.
her out, they might not like her.
No, they'll, no. 99% of the time, by the time she's released, they accept her as their queen.
Well, what's going to make these hang around now while she's still in that capsule?
A little more. Okay, good. I want it to grip.
You said only the female bees will sting?
Yeah, I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, put that in there. This is called, yeah. Hold on. Okay. This is a method that maybe others had it, but we got this from a guy in Coventry or somewhere up there called a Hansen method. So they will now come out of the package and surround the queen. 2, 4, 6, 8, and we're leaving this space, which normally we would not, because this is a violation of the bee space. Now, okay, since they have come with very little of anything, and the comb has not been pulled out, we are going to feed them sugar water, which is going to stimulate their wax glands. And in a week, we'll come back and take the package out, drop this to the bottom. All right, let's see, pull it. All right. It's not leaking, right? Hold it up a minute. No, that's for the other one, right?
No. Make sure the cover's on tight, that's all.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your
we need
framings are just on the bottom,
Pardon?
ultimately. So the framings of where the wax, the cone is just on the bottom.
No, here, in this
It's
one.
in there now, but
Yeah.
you're planning to
Oh
then
yeah,
drop
it'll
it.
go down to the bottom, and then in about 5 or 6 weeks, 5 weeks, we will add another box with
Okay.
new comb again. And okay, I want to get some grass and plug up.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we don't want a lot of drifting, so we're going to reduce the entrance.
Drifting means bees flying off.
Well, there's a little confusion, right? You know.
2 queens right here in the same spot.
What?
There's 2 queens here, so you don't want those to go
Oh no,
there.
that'll be all right. Yeah, okay, let's go to the next hive. Yeah, spray it. There's a product out now called Honey Bee Healthy. Let them smell it. It's got thyme in it, and it seems to help, and they say you even should spray the frames. It's supposed to help them get going with the wax. Oh, that's right, you guys are ready.
So no real supplements, vitamins, or medicine, or anything like that initially?
No.
The container of Honeybee Healthy is in the shop if you want to look at it and read the label. It has a lot of cool stuff and smells really good. And now we did spray the frames with it before you got here.
Okay, great.
So it's just 50-50.
Yeah, now in the fall, if you want them to, you know, they need a supplementary feeding, it should be 2 to 1, 2 sugars, 1 water. But in this time of the year, 50-50.
Drone right there?
Yeah, that's a drone. Well, in the winter, they're going to be in a cluster. When it gets 50 and under, they form a cluster, and it's 95 degrees inside the cluster.
Wow.
And they don't need to eat then?
Take that can right out, or you want
Yeah.
to cover it again for a little?
Oh, no, just put the cover back on.
The first year of honey production is
Hold
usually
on.
for the bees and stuff.
What? I'll grab this. Yeah, get the can out. And then take...
And the can is just a food source?
Yeah, the
during
can,
delivery?
that's right. The can is sugar water to feed them in transit.
300 bucks.
You guys have not been
200 for the hive. And
Yeah, they don't bite, they sting.
we're gonna have hive before
The queen is very attractive, that's why they're clinging to the cage.
And you're not worried about getting stung.
Well, I don't like getting stung, but obviously I'm not too concerned. The smoker's out, which isn't smart, because if you get stung, the alarm motor is now on you. And what happens is, say I got stung here, the alarm motor has now marked me, and other bees will sting. It's like a target now. And also the sting is a 2-part thing with barbs on it, like a fish hook. So it continues, the muscles, it continues to work deeper and deeper into you. The other thing is, why do females, the question was earlier, are the only ones that have stings? Well, the sting is an adaptation from an ovipositor. There are insects that have a thing that they can protrude, 2 parts and like the fish hooks, and it's like a saw. And so the female goes to a tree and on a branch starts to cut a hole in with the ovipositor and then deposits the egg. So the sting apparatus is a modified ovipositor that evolved into a sting apparatus. Well,
That made it clear.
did it? No? No?
I feel
No.
much better now.
No, you get it.
Gave me something to think about anyhow.
No.
Tells
that-
me I don't want it.
Is that like how wood bees can make holes in?
No, they do that with their mandibles, the carpenter bee. No, the cicada. The cicada has an ovipositor. And when it's in the tree, the female, it has this thing that's just like a saw. And it goes back and forth to make the hole for the depositing the egg. This, so that modified evolutionary into an into a sting. And why the male can't sting is males never had an ovipositor. The male sole job is to mate with virgin queens. So it's really a sperm packet. Flying sperm packet. There it goes. See? Yeah, exactly. And just to make it interesting, discovered in the 60s, the virgin drones from noon to 4 o'clock leave their hives and go to areas in the sky that no one knew existed called drone congregating areas. And they just hover there all afternoon. They come back for fuel and wait for virgin queens. And how did they discover them? They got a helium balloon, a fish line, glued a queen onto the fish line, and went around and elevated these helium balloons. And in areas, they found these drone congregating areas. And in the fall, the females throw all the drones out. Throw them out. That's the opposite of what we normally think of male-female relationships. They throw all the drones out. Yet, the next year, the new drones go to the same congregating areas. So
The drones, where
the drones don't winter. They're kicked out.
You're right.
The workers pull them out and throw them out,
and
they die.
They die. So the new ones are just new crop.
New crop, yeah. Kind of cruel, isn't it?
Well, it kind of makes sense because if they only have a limited source of food in the wintertime, they don't need, freeloaders.
Exactly.
He said it's hard being a male teaching this course with comments like that.
They're backlit. They won't see anything.
I meant
No, we understand. That's a good observation. Yeah, why have these drones eating honey? There aren't going to be any new queens in the winter to go on mating flights, so that, throw them out.
Send them to Fort Myers. I don't want to get throw them out.
But the fact that the new guys find the same mating areas is, tremendous. Normally, you have to hang the cage the opposite way because the candy plug should be up. So if a bee dies in the plug, it could plug up the escape route. But there's only a queen in here. Some places put 5 attendants with her. So we're probably safe. Good. Okay, now put that in. Oh, you gotta get that up. This way they'll start attracting the bees out of the package. Hive tool anywhere? Right there. It's stuck a little.
What variety of bee is this?
These are, I'm glad you asked. These are Italian honeybees.
All right.
And I'll tell you why in a minute. Honeybees, there were solitary bees, but no honeybees that lived in colonies. So, shortly after the Pilgrims came, they had bees come over on boats. Imagine 3 or 4 month trips before the bees could even get here. And so the first bee was the Russian or German dark bee. It's sort of like one and the same. And that was the bee. And then in 1843, an officer, a Swiss officer, in one of the Napoleonic Wars, was in the northwest part of Italy, Liguria area where Genoa is, and he was a beekeeper and a naturalist as well as a soldier at the time. So he opened the beehive and he said, wow, these bees a nice yellow color and they're not scrambling around, they're just calm on the comb. He says, I'm going with this bee. And he wrote 3 papers on it, and another big bee researcher in Germany, Poland, got some, and he wrote some papers. And by 1859, 1860, they were imported here. So most of the bees in the world are Italian honeybees. And you can tell if you have any questions. If you go near the hive, you can hear them hum Santa Lucia.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I heard that.
Eva Crane, a big researcher in England, who actually had a PhD in nuclear physics, and it's typical in England when you get married, somebody gives you a beehive, live beehive as a wedding present. She got a wedding present and left nuclear physics and became a beekeeper and a researcher and an author. And she said, gee, the third world countries got a problem, because to buy those wooden boxes over there and the wax frames, it's expensive.
So I don't know what you want to do.
So, oh, good, you did that.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I just did it on a few of them.
Well, that's okay. We'll use. That's where we'll put it.
Okay.
So, she asked some people, could they do something that would be less expensive, and this is called the Kenyan top bar hive, only because I think it was first introduced in Kenya. And all you need to do is put a little strip of wax. The bees make their own. The slants of the top bar hive cause the bees to make a chantinary. If you got a chain, a chain that you used to use in the winter for your tires, and you sort of slacked it, it would hang like that. And so that's the way the bees hang their comb, chantinary type. And usually it is not attached, they don't attach it to the walls. Anyway, this was cheaper because you minimized the amount of wax you needed to start, and the wood was fairly inexpensive, and you didn't need full frames. Of course, with everything, there's an advantage and disadvantage. This one, when you take the frame up, you almost have to keep it vertical except in winter, because if you turn it, it'll start to bend. Also, in those hives, if you're going to extract the honey, you can cut the wax ceiling and put it in an extractor. This you have to crush the comb. But, you know, anyway, all cultures are the same. For instance, when I was a little kid in the Town Plot section of Waterbury, there was a dump, not before inland wetlands, which is a shame. It was a great big swamp, and the city would just dump there. You know, the garbage, everything, cans, garbage, paper. And one day the kids on my street found a piece of copper about this big. And they were very ingenious, and they brought it home. And once or twice a month, what they call the rag man, that's the name they gave the person, would come up with a horse and wagon to collect clothing, whatever, and give you a few nickels or whatever. So they took the copper and put a rock in it and hammered the copper over the rock. And then they put another rock and hammered so when the guy weighed it, he wasn't suspicious. You know, they got 4 times the value of the copper at the time. So to show cultures are the same all over the world, in Africa, I was showing a film, silent film on beekeeping in Africa, and it showed the Africans melting the beeswax into a bowl and then bringing it to a middleman to sell. And I couldn't understand it at first. The middleman would weigh it and then take a machete and start chopping it up. And why? Because as the wax started to congeal, they would put rocks in it to increase the weight. So you see, mankind is pretty much the same worldwide. Always take advantage of the middleman, unless you're the middleman.
Can you move a beehive?
Yes, but if you move it, you either move it incrementally, 2 feet a day, or you have to move it 2 miles and then bring it back to where you now want to relocate it. Because the bees will go, the bees that have oriented to X spot will go back to that spot. Yeah, so